Hello everyone, this is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today our guest is Jeff Creighton, one of the best welterweight outside of the UFC. Hello Jeff, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Jeff, in your last fight, it was LFA 178, you defeated Miguel Jacob by decision. So if you can tell me, what do you think about this performance?
I thought it was a really entertaining fight for the people who did see it. I got dropped in like the first 30 seconds, and then I got up and dropped him like a minute and a half later. So the first round was kind of crazy. I thought it was just a really entertaining fight. I wish I would have got a finish. Again, I'm super critical of my performance. Like if I would have got the finish, that would have been the icing on the cake. Um, but I put on a dominant performance. I think I dominated rounds 2 and 3. And yeah, I think it proved that I'm a very high caliber fighter and I have a lot more room to grow. And so my best performance have not even happened yet. So I'm excited to see what the future holds because I know I'm getting better day by day. So
And it is definitely important to say that he is a very good fighter. He was, I believe, on the three fight winning streak, and he is also one of the top guys in LFA.
yeah, I kind of believed before the fight that this fight was whoever won the fight was going to the UFC, was getting an opportunity. That's just what I thought in my head. He's a top guy on the regional scene, and I was a top guy on the regional scene. It's like it only makes sense. So yeah, he's a very tough guy, very fast, very crisp on his feet, and he showed that in the first 30 seconds of the fight. So yeah, I had a great dance partner that night to show off, my skills and what I possess. So
And
kudos to Miguel.
in the first round, did you feel that the result may be not perfect when you were on the ground?
No, it never crossed my mind that I was gonna lose. It was gonna be harder to win. I could feel the blood running down my face. I couldn't see the blood, but I could feel it running down my face, and I was like, okay, now I'm awake. You've got my attention now. So it was kind of one of those moments. And I feel like I reacted really well. I got back up to my feet and I just kept believing in what I was doing, which was putting pressure on him and being in his face, even though, on paper, it probably looked like he was the better striker. And then a minute and a half later, I dropped him. So I proved, I could be right there with him on the feet. So yeah, it was a great fight. And yeah, he was a great dance partner for sure.
And after this, like it is a very important question. What should be next for you right now?
Yeah, so I think what's next for me is the UFC. I think I deserved my shot. Whether it's short notice or it's on Contender Series, doesn't matter to me. Um, I'm gonna capitalize whenever the opportunity comes. So I'm just staying ready for all of May and June. Any fight that falls through at 170, I can make weight three within 3 days of the event. Like I'm that prepared all the time. So yeah, I'm just waiting to capitalize on my moment, and hopefully that moment will come soon enough. You know.
And this is a probably really big advantage that you can make the welterweight weight quite quickly. That this is not like big weight cut, but in few days you can be on the scale.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like everybody kind of looks at that like, so it's weird. Like fighters look at it as a disadvantage, like, oh, he's got to be the smaller guy for the weight class if he can make it like on 3 day notice or whatever. And for me, I look at it like an advantage. I can capitalize on opportunities. Yeah, maybe I'm the smaller guy when we get in the cage, but I have the cardio, I have the speed, I believe in my skill set. Weight is a very, I feel like, minuscule factor when it comes to getting in that cage. So, yeah, I'll be ready to fight whenever they call.
And last year, the in 2023, it was a perfect year for you. You did many great things, including defeat undefeated Joey Davis. You also become and defend A1 Combat title. And did you believe that the year could be as great as it was?
Yeah, I thought that maybe it could have been great, a little bit greater. if I would have got my UFC debut within that year, I feel like that would have just been like, whoa, like complete 180, from the beginning of the year till then. But, you know, it, it's part of the journey. I got to wait a little longer than I want, but 2024 is going to be even a better year. So that's what I'm planning on.
Yes, definitely the UFC contract would be a cherry on the top.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, whether it's Contender Series, I've got to prove myself there. I absolutely will. And if it's short notice, then by all means, I'll sign it. So either way, I'm good. I'm ready to go.
And in your one fight in 2023, it was a 5 round bout. So
Yeah,
right now you have a experience in the 15 minutes fight and 25-minute fights. And do you prefer the like championship distance, or you prefer a 3 rounder?
I would say, oh, man, I like the 25 minutes because of just the pace and like I feel like that my cardio is better than a lot of the guys. I'm just in better condition. Um, but 15 minutes, you kind of have to get have to get busy right off the gate, and you can't afford to lose a round in a 3 round fight versus a 5 round fight. It's like, okay, like I can afford to lose a round, you know, just to be in the fight. But like a 3 round fight, you've got no you've got no space to give up a round. So either way, I just like fighting. Whether it's a 15-minute fight, a 25-minute fight, they could make it a 40-minute fight, I'd still be in there. So I just love fighting.
And actually, you didn't lose a round in the 5 rounder.
I didn't. I didn't lose. I didn't even lose a single round in that fight, but I had to wrestle a little more than I would have liked. Joaquin was a tough guy. He was good on his feet. He's a bigger guy too, and faster than what I thought he was going to be. But yeah, I persevered and just changed my game plan, and went through the wrestling, and it paid off in the end. I wish I would have got a finish in that fight too, but I showed I can change game plans pretty quickly, and I'm pretty well rounded. So.
And when you are in the training camp, because right now you are like a very experienced fighter, how do you deal with the tough days in the training camp?
Yeah, the tough days, I'm fueled to go through those tough days through one, my family. I've got a wife, I got my mom, my dad, everybody who believes in me. I got Jacksonville, North Carolina. That's where I'm from. I got a lot of people who believe in me and believe in what I'm doing. So the tough days they're tough, but they're not as tough as I can push through and endure whatever I got to get to where I need to go. And as much as I need it to happen and I need to get there, a lot of other people are counting on me to get there too. So, with that weight comes a lot of drive and motivation. So
Yes, it is probably a great motivator that you know that you have a close people who are like counting on you.
yeah, yeah, and they believe in what I'm doing. My wife, she's been with me since I was like an amateur. So she's been in the fight game for a little bit too, and she's seen the ups and downs of it, and she still believes in me. So Uh, I owe it to myself, but owe it to her family. They support us big time, and then my family too. They've been around, supporting me since the beginning. Since I was a kid. So, yeah, I owe it to them, and I owe it to myself. So I'm gonna get it done.
What was the first combat sport that you ever train?
I was a wrestler. I trained wrestling when I got into middle school, actually, from a buddy of mine, a mutual friend of mine. My buddy Jerome was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go try out for wrestling," and I was a soccer player. I never tried wrestling. I didn't know what it was. I was like, "All right, I'll go try it," and fell in love with it. Kept doing it. Wrestled in high school, and then my senior year in high school was when I got into MMA, and I had my first MMA fight. So yeah, wrestling. I feel like almost wrestling's tougher than MMA because it's just gritty. You got to have real true grit to be a wrestler, man. Yeah, especially at the college level, hell, the Olympic level. It's like, bro, you're a tough dude, if you can wrestle at that high level. So wrestling is the best sport of all. So
Actually, many fighters who were wrestlers before, they sometimes say that the MMA is like quite it's just an easier part than just the wrestling.
yeah, yeah, and it's funny that people say that because now that I've been in the game for a while, I would say that's pretty accurate. The one thing about MMA that's different is just all the aspects. I feel like technically maybe MMA is harder, but wrestling is just like I said, like the conditioning, the training. You got to be real gritty to be a wrestler, you know. So and wrestlers make great transitions to MMA. I think because of that, not just because they can, not just because they can control whether the fight goes stays on the feet or goes to the ground, but they're just that tough. You know, they're just tough individuals.
And where are you currently train? What gym?
So currently, I'm at Dan Henderson's Athletic Fitness Center in Temecula, and then my head coach is Joe Stevenson, Joe Daddy, and he has his own gym, Cobra Kai Victorville, also in California. So that's where I'm currently at. Yeah.
And in your training camp, do you have like many of your sparring partners are like welterweight or middleweight, or you will also spar and train with either like much bigger or much smaller guys?
I spar with a lot of big guys usually. Like yeah, our gym is preferably smaller guys, but like for instance, like I spar with like Dominic Reyes, who's in the UFC. He's 205er. Like I get good work with him. I've sparred. My main sparring partner is probably Richie Rodarte. He's I think he's 3-1 as a pro. Super underlooked. He's super good. And then I cross train a couple places to get sparring. One of my main training partners for a minute, especially to get ready for the Joey Davis fight, with Jesse Taylor. You know, I would go train with Jesse Taylor, and no better guy to get ready for a wrestler than Jesse. You know, and I've known Jesse for a while. We both come from Poway. You know, we both wrestled at Poway High School, so we've been good friends for a while. So, but yeah, I tell everybody I'll train with anybody. You know, I'll spar light heavyweights. I'll spar middleweights. It doesn't matter. I prefer training with the bigger guys anyways, because it's like if I can negate the grappling or even get the better of the grappling with the bigger guys, then and the aspects of MMA, then I just feel that much more confident against the smaller 170ers. So I rather spar with big guys.
And right now, what do you think is like one area that you need to improve the most as far as your overall skill set?
Yeah, I think the thing I need to improve the most on, and maybe not even, yeah, it's improve and then just get ready for, is the wrestling. I feel like guys are gonna start trying to really take me down. My striking's I think is really good. I train with Nathan Corbett, who is 11-time Muay Thai world champ. Just a savage individual and just a great human. And so I think with that, I have a lot of weapons on my feet, and I feel like guys are going to try to take me down. And it's kind of going to be like the Joey Davis fight. A lot of guys are really going to hone in and try to grapple me, and I just need to be good at negating the grappling and getting back to my striking and looking to finish the fight in between those transitions. You know, those at the high level, you see a lot of time. The only time guys really get finished consistently are between the grappling transitions between the grappling and the striking, or the striking to the grappling. Yeah, that's when you see them. So I just need to capitalize in those transitions. You know, control the grappling, and then capitalize in those transitions. So that's what I'm working on right now.
And as far as your striking, how like cool is to see your progress from like your beginning of the career, like amateur days or even first pro bout to where you are right now.
Yeah, oh, it's crazy. Well, because when I first started MMA, I was just a wrestler, and literally all I did on my feet was brawl. Like that's literally all I knew how to do. So yeah, to see my technical skill, and obviously like I would say like my ring prowess and knowing where I am in the cage and just being able to move on my feet very fluidly. It's pretty crazy. you know. And then now I feel like I'm adding that aspect of just like pure viciousness to my game with Corbett. You know, he's known for they literally called him the golden elbow for a reason. Like he's literally got the golden elbow. So I've been working a lot of elbows, a lot of knees, and just working on that part of my game. And I feel like I am going to start finishing a lot of guys here real shortly with those. And I'm excited to do that because I feel like right now I'm kind of being, oh, Jeff's on a four fight streak of decisions, and that's going to change here real quickly. And I'm working on my jiu-jitsu too with Joe Stevenson. So I'm doing lots of classes, and I'm just trying to be a student, you know, just be try to make my game as well rounded and as good as it can. So when I do get the call, I'm ready.
And also probably for the fighter, it's good to know that like on the beginning stage of your career, you had many finishes, but right now you also know that you can like fight for either 15 or 25 minutes. So I think that it can be also from your perspective quite important knowledge.
Yeah, for sure. I'm now that I know I can go those 15-minute fights and the 25 minutes for sure. Now I'm like I almost have to put on the fat. I put on the gas earlier, you know, right out of the gate because I know I can do it, you know. So that does give me more confidence. Like, hey, I can let my hands go. I can wrestle more. I can just be a little bit more, less. No, I wouldn't say less calculated, but go for bigger moves and spend more energy, you know, because I know I'm in good condition all the time. So that does give me a lot of confidence, and I'm excited to see how my skill set tests up against UFC caliber guys. So I'm excited. It's gonna be awesome.
And as far as the UFC, do you have a like dream matchup, the fighter that you would like to face?
Oh man, if I had to pick a dream matchup, let's see, dream matchup right now at 170. Ooh, let's see. You know, I do like Kamaru Usman. Like I feel like he gets a lot of crap from people just for the way he is. But I do think he's the best welterweight of all time, and now he's less active than he was. But I did see Kamaru Usman in person when I went and watched the UFC fights, UFC Fight Night. It was Pavlovich versus Blades, and he was there, and he sat right in front of me, and he stood up, and I was kind of sizing him up because you just look at welterweights, you're like, all right, there he is, and I was like, man, he's not as big as I thought he would be. Like, so I was like, I don't know. It'd be cool to fight a guy like that, who's done so much in the sport. And he's a tough guy, I want to fight tough guys. And yeah, it would be a crazy fight for sure, So, but that's where I want to be is in those crazy fights on the biggest stage with the bigger names. So at some point I'll get there.
And when you watch UFC fights, do you, especially in the welterweight division, do you like try to find the weaknesses of your like potential like opposition?
Of course. Yeah, I definitely watch like especially these guys at welterweight that are like within their first contract. They just been brought on. Of course, I'm watching those guys like a hawk, because I want to know when I get the call that it might be against one of them, So I got to stay prepared and just do my due diligence. If the fight gets announced, I'm like, oh, I already kind of know who the guy is, and I can adjust. So yeah, I definitely keep my eye out on my competitors, but I'm also more worried about what I'm doing in the gym, and out in my outside life. So
And you are overall a great fighter and great wrestler, and many people don't like to fight wrestlers. And
yeah,
from your perspective, what could be on the paper the toughest stylistically matchup for you?
yeah, I think the hardest stylistic matchup for me is a guy like Joey Davis, or a guy who's really gonna like really work on their wrestling and try to get me to the ground. And I feel like that's been kind of proven. I feel like I've proven though that I can deal with it, but I just haven't got the finishes with those guys. And I do end up on my back once in a while. So I feel like people think that's probably the hole in my game. for the most part. But also, I've also proven that I can wrestle too, and put guys on their backs. So I feel like I don't have a lot of holes for guys to, really be like, oh, Jeff's got a big hole here. I don't have a lot of big gaping holes, but the guy that's going to give me the most trouble is, a really seasoned, decorated wrestler.
So like Kamaru Usman.
Yeah, exactly. A guy who's going to shoot for the legs, and once he gets hit, that's going to be, but that's the guy I want to fight. I'm one of those guys. You can look at all my fights on Tapology. Like I have not fought any real easy fights, especially on the regional scene. Like I want to fight tough guys. I'm not shying away from any of that. Um, I feel like now I deserve to fight those tough guys in the UFC and get paid more for it. But I've fought in tough guys, so I like a challenge. A challenge keeps me motivated, and it keeps me in the gym, keeps me doing what I need to do. So, yeah, a guy like Kamaru Usman would be right down my alleyway. I'd be like, hell yeah, because that gets me motivated.
And Joey Davis is a good example of the very good fighter. It was maybe not regional scene because it was a Bellator, but like undefeated prospect, very good wrestler, and you defeated him. So I think that it was
Yeah,
surprise for many people.
very. Yeah, I was the biggest underdog on the card. Nobody thought I was going to win that fight, and very small group of people really believed that I was going to pull it off that night. And so, I hold those people dear. And yeah, it was a night that I think kind of put me on the map. People were like, "Oh, who is this kid?" I've been winning fights, but not against any competition like that. And so, I knew going into that fight that cardio and wrestling were going to be the most important aspects. And if I beat this guy, it was going to do a lot for me. So I had a lot riding in that fight, and I proved to people too that I'll take risks. I'll take fights with guys that on paper maybe I shouldn't be getting in there with. If I want to build that record, but I was like, I don't care, man. I know I can beat that guy. So, and I went out there and proved it. I just wanted him more than him in the end. Is kind of how I saw the fight. So, I wanted more than these guys. So I'm gonna go get it.
In your opinion, what would like make your career successful in the end of the day?
One more time.
What would make your
Oh,
career
oh,
successful?
I think what I would consider successful at this point is get to the UFC, win a world championship, be one of the best to ever do it, be in some big fights, and then fight professionally in a couple other disciplines too. I'm not one of those guys who I don't like the whole MMA versus boxing thing, but there are other martial arts that I would love to fight in big fights like Muay Thai. Now they've got the bare knuckle MMA, they got the bare knuckle stuff. Like I'm open to that kind of stuff. Like I like those challenges that are kind of off the wall. So, those entice me. So I feel like that's my career path. Like I want to be a world champ. I want to be considered one of the best, and then I want to venture out into big fights. Fights that people dream of. So that's what I'm looking to do.
There are right now so many like opportunities for the fighters because as far as the sports, because there is a bare knuckle, there is like a karate combat, there is like a different kind of grappling competition, including the combat
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu with open-handed strikes. So there is like things to that you can choose from.
Yeah, things like MMA's got a lot of aspects to it, and for the guys that are world champions and have marketed themselves and gotten to that point in the UFC, those are the things to venture out to. Those are other challenges. Like I feel like when you get to that point where you're sleeping on silk sheets and got everything that you kind of ever wanted, you got to go find other challenges. You got to go seek other challenges that are a little different than what you're used to. So I think those fights in other sports or other martial arts are enticing. The fighter who's been around the game for a while. So that's what I would like to do at some point in my career. Once I get to that point.
How do you deal with the stress before your fights?
The biggest thing for me is I don't like to say that I'm nervous. I'm just excited, and I don't leave any stone unturned in training camp. Like if I know I've done everything I possibly can, then I'm gonna go in there and perform. I know that. So I just the results are already written in stone. I just got to do the work. That's how I look at it. So yeah, that's what makes me what allows me to really dial in and perform.
And like one day away from your fight, do you have like any trouble with sleep?
From the way if it's in hands, I don't get good sleep. You know what? I'm one of those guys. Once I get some food in me and it's the night before, I sleep like a baby, man. Like I'll sleep 10 hours. I don't care, and I'll sleep deep. Some people always said like, yo, I can't get any sleep. I can't focus. Me, like once you get to that point, all the hard work's done anyways. Like now it's just time to recover. The weight's already made, rehydrate, do what you gotta do, and just now it's the fun part. So I sleep like a baby the night before my fights.
So this is the best option that you have, that there is no any trouble with sleep.
No, not at all. I sleep the best, the night before fight, knowing that all the hard work's done and now it's just time to go out there and cash in on the investment. I invested all my time and effort, during training camp, but now it's time to cash in. So yeah, I sleep like a baby and I go out there and perform. So
Okay, Jeff. So many thanks for the conversation. I hope that you
yeah.
will get a fight in the UFC quite quickly.
Yeah, no, definitely this year. Absolutely this year. It happens in 2024 for sure.